This
Plus,
conference will now be recorded.
start the service. Yeah, it's running now. And how about your practice?
It's running. It's good
It's
going.
running. Okay. It's good or
It's good going.
better or best? Okay. It's good. Okay. Hmm. Okay. I hope now you're able to see my screen. So yesterday we worked on AOD queries and we have seen how to work with them and mostly what are the everything about AOD queries we have seen. Okay. And today we are going to do the same thing using XPP queries. Okay. So we will start with the very beginning and then we will see how to work with them. It will be interesting. Okay. Just a second. You can improve startup performance by auto hiding or collapsing application explorer window. Okay. Auto hide window, use default behavior, do not start window. Okay. He has not given anything related to auto start. Okay. Come on. It's preparing the solution. Let's wait for a minute. Okay. Now it got open. Come on. Still loading. Now we already know what is a query object model. Okay. So we will start with again the similar kind of thing. Let's take a simple query. I don't remember whether I told you or not about the XPP queries. No. Okay. So let me begin. Click on the add button, new item, and let me go to code, runnable class. I will call this as ICI XPP queries. Okay. I will call this as ICI XPP queries. Click on the add button. Okay. Now I'm going to create a query object for the query q equal to new query, and inside the bracket this time we need to take table or query. What do you want to take? What do you want to take this time? Do you want to take table or a query? What do you want to take? Yeah, there are two ways here. Okay. Previously, what we have done? We have taken directly table here. Okay. Query here. We took query str. So this time you can take table str, and then you can mention ICI address. Done. Now simply write query run QR equal to new query run inside the bracket. You can simply take Q query while cure.next, and then we can say ICI address table buffer address equal to cure dot get table name, and then in the bracket you need to mention ICI address. Done. Okay. Now you can say info address dot city. Okay. This is one way of doing it. This is one way of doing it. And let me run this, and then we will see the complex ones. Okay. I will run this, and then next we will see the complex ones. ICI XBB queries. Let me set this as the startup object. Run. And once this is finished, we will see the complex queries. Okay, it has hit the breakpoint now. Let me press F10 here. Now, oh, what is this here? It did not go. What is my query? It did not do any query. Why? Did I set this as a startup object? XPP queries. And in the args, if I see Q, it says the data source is not embedded with a parent data source exception. Oh, what is this? Okay, let me do one small change. Okay, this is set as the startup object. Instead of this table str, let me take table name and check. Okay, let me check this. Let me run. This time it will be faster, don't worry. If you do remember, in the same query, it has given it as any type. Okay, it has given it as any type. I have used the query str and then it has worked, and I have given the table str. It is not doing so. Okay, let's see that. After that, I will do one more small change. I want to show you the query object model. I showed you this as well already, but I don't know whether you remember or not. Okay, I showed you accessing the table as well. I don't know whether you remember or not. Yesterday or day before yesterday might be. Okay, let it run. Just a second, it's loading. Again, this time it says wrong argument type of function. What is this here then? How to access? See here, if you have a query and if your data source is not a query and if it is a table or something else, then whatever you need to do is you need to use query dot add data source. Okay, you need to use query dot add data source. Okay, query dot add data source. In the bracket, you need to mention table name, and then in the bracket, you need to give whatever the table you need. Please remember this. Okay, this is what we need to do. Now let me run it back again.
Please tomorrow.
Sorry.
Please tomorrow. Sorry for my late arrival. I had a problem with my internet. Can you drop the point that you speak today?
Just we were discussing about the queries. Okay. It has started just now. Okay.
This is the first point you speak.
Yeah. Just previously I showed that when we work like this now, it is not going to work. And then later on I showed we need to use in this fashion. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It has hit the breakpoint. Let me go for I think where is this every queries not expected. Okay. Now see here. If you want to add a range, this is one fashion. For the query object, if you see here, this query is the parent. So using this query object, you can access whatever you need. Okay. But that is not the right way, yeah, because we need to segregate the stuff. Okay. Now you can see here, once I use it, the add data source, I got the query. Okay. What I can do, I can simply use dot add range and then dot add one more data source. Dot whatever you want, you can do with that query because you have the core query now. But you know, this is not the right way. Why? I wrote it, but this is not the right way. Why? Because here it looks bit clumsy. Everything on a single statement. Writing everything on a single line might be, you might be able to understand that. But tomorrow morning, let's say some new developer is looking at it, he will think, oh, understanding will be difficult. Okay. So to make it clear, what Microsoft has done is instead of giving a single query statement for everything, they have divided it. How they have divided it? They have divided it on the basis of a model called query object model. What is it? They have divided it on the basis of a model called query object model. In this query object model, at the top level, we have the query run, and then a query, and then a data source, and range, field list, and everything. You can see all this here. Okay. Now let's write by using a query object model and not the direct query. Now actually I want to take the same example, cast save cart trans, and we will build it. We will see how to build it using XPP queries. So first of all, what do we need? We need at least one query. So I'm taking q equal to and the new query. Done. I got the new query now. The second thing we need to begin with is the query build data source. How many data sources do you have? We have customer data source, we have savings data source, we have card data source, we have transaction data source, card trans data source. Okay, what is the first data source that we need to use? We need to use customer data source equal to query dot add data source. What is the data source? We need to use table num in the bracket ICI customers. So what I'm saying here, I'm saying build a data source and then assign that to customer data source. Okay, and now the next step, now we have the customer data source. This is well and good. Now what is the next thing that we need to do? We need to have the savings data source. So savings data source equal to customer data source dot add data source, and in the bracket we need to mention what we need to mention here. Which data source you want to add? Well, you want to add table num, and in the bracket let me add ICI savings account. Okay, now savings data source dot add, or there should be something called use relations na in AOD queries. Let me check. We have something called relations, and let me set it to true. Okay, I am setting these relations to true. Now I will execute only this piece of code, and I will debug and I will show you. Okay, and then we will add the remaining data sources. We will understand how to work with the data source. Okay, now it has hit the breakpoint. We will see the query and then we'll come back. Okay, what makes the difference? We will see that. Come on. Okay, let me press F10. Now you can see data source select star from ICI customers. This is the query. Okay, now let me press F10 again. Now you can see customer data source savings is savings account star from ICI savings account, and still we did not use the relations. Okay, we did not use the relations still, so you can see it did not give any relation. Now I am setting use relations to true. Let's see how did it change. This is how it changed on customer ID. Okay, so this is one way. And now you will get one more dot. Okay, by default I did not apply the join. It took inner join. Now how to apply the join? If you want to apply the join, let me go to savings data source dot join mode. In this you can mention there is a enum called join mode, and using this enum you can mention whether you want to go for the inner, exist, no exist, outer. By default it will take inner join. If you want to change that, change the join type, you can do that. And now I want to add the card. How to add the card? Card data source equal to savings data source dot add data source, and then inside the bracket we need to use table name, and then inside the bracket you need to say ICI card account. Now this is my card account. Okay, and then now I don't want to use the relations directly. So what I need to do? I need to use card data source dot add link in the bracket. It's the parent field name in the bracket ICI savings account, comma, what is the field name? Account number, comma, field name in the bracket. What is the table name? ICI card account, comma, account number. So this is how we are going to add the link. If you don't want to use the relations and if you want to create a link, this is how we are going to create a link. Query build link. Okay, actually what people will do is you can use query build link, and then you can say QBL, and here you can say QBL equal to, this is our query build link. If you don't want to use the relations, then you can use something called add link, and then you can mention the parent table and then the child table. This is the other way. This is the other way of adding the relations. And then you can say card data source dot join mode equal to sorry, in the bracket you can say join mode colon join, done. This is how you can mention the join mode. And similarly we have something called query build field list. So what is the purpose of this one? Okay, I will say customer field list, customer FL field list. Okay, how to add this customer field list? Now I have the customer data source. What do I have? I have the customer data source, and to this customer data source I can add the field list. How to add it? How to add it? I can say customer field list equal to customer data source dot, what is this? It is not coming. Oh, sorry, here it should be. Okay, this is right. This is not right. This is big customer data source. Okay, dot fields, and then here we are saying that get the fields of the customer data source into the field list object, and then you can say customer field list dot, you will have something called add field, add all fields. If you use add all fields, it will add all the fields. If you want to add them individually, you need to add field, and then you need to use field name, in the bracket ICI customers, comma. Let me take customer ID and name here. I want to take two fields. Customer ID, comma, customer field list, dot add field in the bracket, field name, and then ICI customers, comma, name. Done. I want to add these two fields. So this is how you can add the field list for a XPP query. So this is how we can add the field list for a XPP query. Please remember. Now you can see here we have added the field list, and then we have the cadre data source. Okay, and along with this add link, there is one more thing called dynamic link. There is one more thing called dynamic link, and I'll show you later on how to work with the dynamic link. Now let me continue here. Now the next thing is cart transactions. So I will take the trans data source equal to cart data source dot add data source, and then table name in the bracket I will mention ICI card transactions. Done. And then I will say trans data source dot what do you call this, relations. I'll set relations to true because you know how to work with the static link, so I'm using relations to true. Done. Now we are done with joining each and every data source, and we are getting the join query. Okay, now let's run up to here and then let's come back. I will add a breakpoint directly here because I want to show you the entire query, how it has formed. Okay, let me run this. And there is one more breakpoint here. Let me run this. Here it says there are errors on the build. Let's see what are those. It is saying you are missing the bracket. Oh, very bad. It just says we are missing the bracket. Very bad. Let me run this back again. Okay, now let me press F10, 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 F10. It is joining all the data sources here. You can see here. Now let's see the final query from the query object here. Copy, copy, copy. Paste, paste, paste. Okay. Now you can see 0 equal to account type, 0 equal to account type, card number. It has done each and everything for us. I say card transactions. Good. Okay. Now what is the next step? Now what is the next step? Actually, we want to get the sum. We say aggregate function. We want to do a group by. Is that right? We want to do a group by, and then we want to add a sum. How to do that? If you want to add a group by field, you need to add that group by field to the data source. Okay? And further, what we can do is you can use something called query group by field, and I will say customer. Okay? Customer group by field. This is the one thing. And then we also have a having filter. So what I will do? I will use query having filter, and then I have the trans amount. Trans amount having. Done. Okay. Now I have defined both of them. We are done. Now here, what I will do is I need to add the group by field. So what is the group by field you want to add? We want to add the group by field as customer ID and then name. Okay, which is for a customer data source. Is that right? Which is for a customer data source. Now here I am done with the field list, and then what you can do? You can simply add customer group by field equal to, you can take the data source, customer data source dot, we will have a method called add group by field. Yeah, this is the one. Add group by field, and in the bracket you can specify which field you want to add as a group by field. I will say ICI customers, comma, customer ID. This is one field I want to add. Okay, let's say you want to add multiple fields. You want to add multiple fields. How to do that? Okay, let me try. I want to take this customer group by field, or let's see what are the functions involved in this first of all. Okay, group by field dot, you will have something called auto header, auto sum. All these are the methods here. Like this, there will be a lot of methods. You can see all these AOT methods, and along with this, you will have a lot of methods. You can see auto sum. If you want to calculate the sum automatically based on it, you can set auto sum to true. If you want to get the field ID, and then these are the few methods. And whatever the AOT methods you are seeing, those methods are used for getting the properties, refreshing, regenerate, restore. These are the iterator. Those are used for tree node objects. Okay. Now let me add one more. Customer data source dot, I want to add group by field. In the bracket, I want to say field name, and then you can take ICI customers, comma, name. This is one more field. I am taking two fields here. Okay, and this you will use rarely, that group by field. Just I want to set auto sum to true, because whatever we do group by now, I want to have the auto sum on the basis of that field, so I want to set it to true. Done. What is the next step? The next step is having filter. Is that right? The next step is having filter. How to apply the having filter? To apply the having filter as well, you can take something called query having filter, and we have trans amount having. Use this trans amount having dot add. Oh no, I'm not getting it. What is the